Welcome to All Saints Kids Church Online. Today's story is another great story from the Bible, a famous story with someone with a name like mine, and my name is David, and I hope you enjoy today's stories. Today's story from the Bible is about David and Goliath. I think you might know in this picture that David is the smaller guy and Goliath is the big guy. We'll hear more about that as we come to the story. Also, was suggested, if you wanted to watch the movie How to Train Your Dragon. Now, I don't know if you've got a dragon, I don't, but I have seen the movie before. So in the movie, we meet the Viking boy called Hiccup. And he's not exactly the biggest Viking of the lot, and he's not the strongest. He's quite small. He meets and befriends a night fury dragon, but that's not the giant. That's just the dragon he befriends. And in the course of things, they end up meeting a giant dragon. Yes, a giant fierce dragon. And we'll talk later about how Hiccup and Night Fury, Toothless, how they managed to go with that big, scary looking dragon. We're going to sing a Colin song now. It's Isaiah chapter 46, Wiki, Wiki, Woo. Now, as you see this song, you'll hear Colin sing, and then the next set of words are in a different colour. Pretty easy to do. I hope you enjoy singing it.
Isaiah chapter 46.
Isaiah chapter 46.
46 verse 9 and 10.
46 verse 9 and 10.
God says, I am God and there is no other.
I am God and there is no other.
I am God and there is none like me.
I am God and there is none like me.
I say, my plan will stand.
I say, my plan will stand.
And I will do all that I please.
And I will do all that I please.
Wiki, 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 woo.
A wiki, 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 woo.
A boof, boof, ch, a boof, boof, ch.
A boof, boof, ch, a boof, boof, ch.
A dubba, 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 cha.
A dubba, 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 cha.
A wiki, 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 woo.
A wiki, 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 woo.
Isaiah chapter 46.
Isaiah chapter 46.
46 verse 9 and 10.
46 verse 9 and 10.
God says, I am God and there is no other.
I am God and there is no other.
I am God and there is none like me.
I am God and there is none like me.
I say, my plan will stand.
I say, my plan will stand.
And I will do all that I please.
And I will do all that I please.
Wiki, 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 woo.
A wiki, 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 woo.
A poof, poof, ch, a poof, poof, ch.
A boof, boof, ch, a boof, boof, ch.
A dubba, 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 cha.
A dubba, 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 cha.
Wiki, 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 woo.
A wiki, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that song. I love the words in that song. I wish I could be that clever and write words like that. So, on to the story of David and Goliath. Well, King Saul's people, the Israelites, God's people, they end up having some problems with a neighbouring country. Now, God's people are the Israelites, and They have an army, a strong army. And the neighbouring people who are constantly in battle with the Israelites are the Philistines. Now, in this, if you do a bit of a count up, you'd actually see, numbers-wise, this would be even. But the Philistines have someone on their side that makes a difference. They have this huge man called Goliath. He's so much bigger than anyone else. There is no one in the Israelites who is the size of Goliath or is able to probably fight Goliath. And what happens here, you can see Goliath, and Goliath would come out in front of the army and he was challenging the Israelites. Send out your strongest soldier. Rather than having both the armies fight, I will fight your champion, and whoever wins, they will be the winner of the battle. Now you can see how big Goliath is because the person next to him holding that shield is not a little child. It's a soldier, a normal sized soldier. But that is how big Goliath is. So that is happening day after day. And the Israelites, there is no one in there who wants to step forward and fight Goliath. They're afraid. So you can see how big Goliath was as he's standing here against the normal sized soldiers. He's like twice their size. And not only is he tall, he's a massive, huge man, strong as anything. And you can see as he went out day after day, challenging the Israelites, he would make fun of them. Oh, and none of you brave enough to fight me. I thought you were the brave Israelites. He would make fun day after day. And in the army were some of David's brothers. Now Jesse, knowing that his sons, or some of his sons, are up fighting with God's people, the Israelites, he says to his younger son, David, why don't you take some supplies up to your brothers and see how they're going? And so David travels up to see his brothers. Now, when he goes up there, he ends up seeing this performance in a way by this giant man, Goliath. And he ends up hearing him challenging God's people and saying, "Are you afraid?" He's making fun of them. And then David listens to his brothers talk about it, and they are saying, well, who would want to fight this man? Who would want to take him on? David in his mind is thinking, I'm not afraid to take him on because I know God is with us. God is with us. He's not with the Philistines. So David goes to King Saul, and you can see David's pointing at himself. King Saul, I will fight Goliath. I know God will give us victory. God is with us. God will be with me. He convinces King Saul to allow him to take up the challenge. King Saul then offers him his armor. He offers him a helmet that's made for a fully grown man, for metal clothing to protect him, and a sword. But because David is a young boy, none of this will fit him properly, and it just would weigh him down. Instead, David says, I will take on the giant with the weapons that I have used against a lion and the bear as I've looked after those sheep. And he takes a sling, which was a piece of leather, and then he picks up 5 smooth stones, and they are the weapons he takes out to face Goliath. Now, just picture that. David steps out, no armour, no weapons that the Goliath can see. And Goliath starts thinking, the Israelites are making fun of me. The Israelites are taunting us. He gets angry. He says, why are you sending out a young boy? This is an insult. Well, David, as Goliath is there preparing to, in a sense, probably cut him in half, David takes one smooth stone and he puts it in the end of the sling and he twirls it round and around. And then he releases it as Goliath rushes forward toward. You can see this picture shows young David, a small boy, and he's released that stone. If you look, the sling, he's released that stone, and the stone strikes the giant Goliath and knocks him down. This causes amazing terror amongst the Philistines as they see their champion beaten by a small boy. Here is David cheering on God's army to come and join him. And the Philistines flee, they run away. So a great victory is won with the giant being killed. But indeed, through it all, David doesn't think of himself as being the champion. He thinks of God being his champion, the one who has given him victory and kept him safe. I've now got a short video that you can watch which tells the whole story in a very short time. I hope you enjoy it. So just wrapping up the story, we have David and Goliath, and then we had Hiccup and Toothless, and they fought a giant as well. That giant was the Red Death, that terribly big dragon. Huge, they were outsized. In the end, yes, they won the battle against the dragon, but the difference in the stories is that David, he defeated Goliath not in his own strength, but through God's strength. He acknowledged that God gave him the strength. God's plan was fulfilled. Our last song for today is To Be Strong and Courageous, a great song to remind us that God is with us.
Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe by his side. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe. Do not fear the fire. Do not fear the waters. Do not fear the thunder. Jesus has conquered them all. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe by his side. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe. Do not fear the darkness.
Do not fear the darkness.
Do not fear the sadness.
Do not fear the sadness.
Do not fear the sickness.
Do not fear the sickness.
Jesus has conquered them all. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe by his side. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe. Do not fear the enemy.
Do not fear the enemy.
Do not fear the poverty.
Do not fear the poverty.
Do not fear eternity.
Do not fear eternity.
Jesus has conquered them all. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe by his side. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe. You sing it on your own.
Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe by his side. Be strong and courageous. The Lord of the ages holds all his little ones safe.
He holds all his little ones safe.
So it's a great story and a great song we've heard today, and now it's time to pray. You might like to join me in saying this prayer. Dear God, thank you for being with us at all times. We thank you that you are a great God who loves us and watches over us. Help us to trust you, just as David did in facing Goliath. Thank you for being with us when things make us afraid. Thank you for Jesus, who defeated death for us. Amen. Now, for next week, the movie that's down that you might like to watch is Charlotte's Web. And in it, of course, if you know the story, you meet a pig called Wilbur and a spider. So you might like to spend some time watching that, maybe later today or maybe during the week. Well, that's the end of All Saints Kids Church for this week. We hope you have a great rest of today, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.